Okay, so I'm going to do this video again because I got really just, I don't know, there's a lot of information, and I need to just slow down a little bit, but I do get excited. All right, so I talked about regrowing bones way back in the day. Okay, I talked about at Dr. Phil, I talked about in my book about bone regrowth. And bone regrowth is based upon the body's ability to absorb the nutrients. So that way it's able to heal and seal and then be able to then strengthen and mineralize the bones. And so it's interesting that people out here in Ohio, and some people actually, have very strong bones because their ability to absorb the minerals from their food supply, they don't have too much malabsorption going on, okay? And so they have a very strong bones. And then some people have very weak bones, and it has to do the levels of malabsorption. Well, why would you have malabsorption? Because you have leaky gut. I'm not going to use leaky gut. I'm not going to use candida in the book when it comes to the word malabsorption, because malabsorption is the fact that you have an imbalance in your yeast. Okay, when you have a fungus like a yeast that is supposed to be there, and then it gets overfed by your lifestyle, and then you already have imbalances to where you're not able to keep that yeast at bay because you're not bringing in the right other nutrients and minerals to break it up or to keep it at bay. Then what it does, it punches holes in your gut, and so the nutrients and the minerals that your body needs to then fix all of your imbalances and your weaknesses gets then flushed out of the body, and you're not able to then absorb those minerals and then fix the weaknesses and have it be on reserve. Okay, so when I talked on Dr. Phil about regrowing bones, I knew that when you have access to nutrients, and I didn't break the nutrients down, but I knew when you have access to nutrients, cell regeneration does happen. And then also weight loss happens when you bring in the nutrients, the right nutrients, as well as reversing of all the different cancer, disease, and chronic illness. But I didn't go into too much detail as far as the bone regrowth. And so when I broke everything down, that's right, I broke the whole human body down to what the human body is made up of. It's made up of fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. Okay, minerals are so key. Minerals is what mineralizes your bones, and it also helps with the body's processes. Okay, and then the hormones is based upon the nutrients, the prohormones. So what is supporting the prohormones? It's the nutrients. It's like the vitamin A, B, C, D, E, and F that people are taking as their supplements. But we know that taking supplements is detrimental on a body that can't absorb anyways. And when you can absorb, you won't need the supplements. So, you're not helping matters by taking supplements. Okay. Amino acids is what is part of the collagen. That is the proteins. Okay. Amino acid is what contributes to new bone growth, but taking strictly amino acids, especially as a supplement you see at the holistic store, would then cause more imbalances. So, and then there's fatty acids, which people have imbalances. And then when you have a fatty acid imbalance, guess what? Obesity, and then diabetes. And then you have lactic acidosis, which contributes to all the different cancers. Okay. So when you regrow bones, the whole process for those, because people are asking, well, why, Jillian, prove that you can regrow bones? Do you have any proof of that? Well, of course not, because people are not willing to go through the pain first to take care of the severity, the first severe issues that are in their body, because your body has different levels of severity of weaknesses. Okay, if you have like a missing arm, but you have also weaknesses in your vital organs. Guess what? When you do the J juice, your vital organs are going to be, well, first your gut's going to be healed and sealed first. And then the vital organs are going to be taken care of, because those are the things that keep you alive. And then once all of your vital organs are repaired from the damage you've done for over so many years, then the body will go, and then most likely it might do it even simultaneously while you're getting your vital organs figured out, but then it will then start dealing with the things that are, I wouldn't say ancillary, but are not as severe, because people have been able to live with missing arms, missing legs. That's why you see people, but they're also in pain. See, when people are in pain, which I said in my book, the reason why people are not regrowing their arms and their legs is because they have malabsorption, and they are taking antibiotics. They're taking a whole bunch of minerals in an imbalanced way to stop the healing process, to stop the pain process. Okay, so that's why you've never seen anybody regrow their arms and their limbs and their legs, because they're aging. Okay, they're aging. And so when you're aging, you're losing more minerals than you are absorbing. And the thing is that I've characterized cancer, disease, and chronic illness as your insurance policy. It is a gift to every single one of you, because it's letting you know there's an imbalance. So your obesity is a gift to you if you understand what the data is. Okay, your loss of hair, like Alexandru, your balding is a indicator that there's malabsorption going on. Now, people look great and they feel great, and yes, they may be losing their hair or they may be obese and they're still able to function, but those are indicators to let you know that there is biochemical triage. The body is taking from the integumentary system to keep your vital organs. But if you don't replenish your vital organ or your mineral reserves, then guess what? There could be an event that happens and you don't have the mineral reserves left, and then this is where people die from heart attacks and strokes, because they are mineral depleted. Okay, and then if you're constantly working out, okay, and you're constantly lifting weights, then you're also contributing to the degradation of your muscles as well as your bones too. Okay, so this is so imperative for like Alexandru, and those of you who are trying to be healthy, or those of you that are trying to live a long time for your kids, and you have these huge red flags that you're ignoring. And so anyway, so the bone regrowth, if you're missing arms or missing legs and you're still you're still looking great and surviving and whatever, when you do the J juice, you're going to have to go through the pain. So this process is how to regrow bones is you have to heal and seal and absorb the minerals first. Okay, so that means that you got to do the J juice, do the waterfalls, get to where now you finally can derive nutritional benefit, because people are doing like bone broth and all these different supplements, and they have malabsorption, so it's not doing them any good. They're doing all the holistic stuff and doing the detoxes, and it's actually working against them. So for a person who is missing bones and missing limbs and missing all that stuff, they have to first heal and seal and absorb the minerals. Then they got to deal with the pain. They got to deal with pain is biochemical triage. The body is going to figure out what it needs to deal with first based upon priority. Okay, so if you have vital organs that have malfunctions, that has to be dealt with first. Most likely, because you've been living for this long and the body doesn't necessarily need to have that one hand or that one digit. So it's going to take care of all the main things first. Okay, and then when I mentioned in the book about bone spurs, when someone goes and gets a prosthesis, what do they do with some people? They cut off the bone spurs to fit the prosthesis. But what are bone spurs? It's new bone growth. They're osteocytes and osteoblasts. It's new bone growth. And what is the collagen that makes up the bone? The main protein in the bone is collagen, and that's all made up of amino acids, glycine, lysine, proline, and that then up the bone, the muscle, the ligaments, and then other tissues. But when you start seeing people degrade and age, okay, and you start seeing the anomalies in weight fluctuations, and you see the aging process, osteoporosis, which is another industry term, or malabsorption, now becomes more apparent. You start seeing the slow disintegration back to earth, which means you're seeing the breaking of the body. The body is breaking down. And what is that called when you are not you're not fulfilling your mineral reserves in the right way. Yeah, it's called osteoclasts, where there's a resorption of the calcium, that if there's not enough calcium in the blood, it steals from the bones and then it breaks the bones down. So the body steals minerals from the bones to keep the vital organs going. So if you're working out on a continuous basis, building up your muscles, six-pack and all of that stuff, and then you see hair loss and you see graying of the hair, and you're looking at all the people who are workout queens and kings, they are going to suffer major bone loss because of the amount of stress they put on their muscles and the amount of stress they put on their bones, and the body goes into biochemical triage and then it breaks you down. And that's why you see the degradation of, and even faster with those that are in the fitness world. You're going to see degradation happen faster to those in the fitness world versus those that are relatively balanced in their exercise regimes, which I don't do any exercise regimes. I get up every morning. If I have to run somewhere, I will. I'm light on my feet. I don't have to work out. I have nothing to prove to anybody. I don't need a six-pack and I don't need to have to muscle definition. My husband loves me and I'm pretty, pretty slim and slender, and I keep my weight very proportioned. Okay. And I feed myself the J juice and I eat a very diverse diet. Okay. So the potential to regrow bones is there if someone's willing to go through the biochemical triage. So if you're going into this to regrow your bones and then you're dealing with heart issues and all these things, you got to deal with that first. And that's where the issues stem from and why we haven't had any proof of regrowing bones, because people don't want to go through that biochemical triage. They want that instant gratification. They want to have it happen right then and there, tomorrow, 2 weeks, or they go, Jillian, just cut off your arm and then you show us the bone growth. And I'm not going to do that. I didn't suffer those types of issues, but people do. Everybody has so many sets of problems and circumstances. They bring that to the table. Okay. And so you have to deal with the things that you already have that's already been sustained in your genetic line, as well as whatever you incurred through your lifetime. So if you have like a benzo addiction, if you have a missing arm and a missing leg, if you have heart issues in your family, if you have lung issues in your family, if you have obesity issues in your family, those things have to be taken care of, but also other issues have to be taken care of too. And so the body goes into biochemical triage. So right now the body's in biochemical triage for those of you not doing J juice, but it's stealing minerals from your bones and from other parts of your bodies, from your reserves, to then keep your vital organs going. And that's why you see people who are still walking completely decrepit. So they're losing their hair, but they're also losing collagen, they're losing skin and elasticity in their skin, and they're losing fat, or they're gaining weight. Okay. And so, and then eventually, relative to how severe those other issues are, you may or may not survive heart attacks or strokes. And there are people that are very beautiful looking out there that die from a stroke or a heart attack because they did not realize to what extent their mineral depletion was. Okay. And that's the scary thing, is what you would think as a perfectly healthy person who works out and does this dies from a heart attack or a stroke because they have major mineral depletion and they didn't even know it. And so those are actually in the workout world are actually increasing that likelihood of having some kind where they won't survive a symptom because they already are depleted, but they think that being healthy is having big muscles and a six-pack. And no, that actually is going to then cause more issues. I'm not trying to pick on certain people, but I feel that I need to get this across, because why roll the dice? Why roll the dice if you don't have to? Now, I know we have images to uphold, but I'm thinking that, your life is so much more important than an image to uphold. There are other ways to make money, okay? But I understand we need to sustain that image. But really, the pain is going to be one of the biggest things that people are going to have to figure out. And when I was a kid and I was growing, I had growing pains, okay? I think all of us had growing pains on some level. And so, yeah, you're going to feel just a dull pain in your legs, in your arms. If maybe, let's say you are short and fat, let's say if you're a dwarf. Like, I would love a dwarf to do the J juice, because I want to see that dwarf actually trigger the human growth hormone to then finally send the messages to then grow those bones, lengthen those bones over time. Okay, a person with Down syndrome, a dwarf, anyone that happens to be very, very short in stature. And now I'm thinking the average humans out there, as far as the average height for a guy, could be between 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", all the way to 6 foot, 7 foot, but then 7 foot's probably really, really tall. Okay, so at this point, how humans have adapted to this atmosphere is for a man between 5 and 6 foot. And probably 5 foot is pretty short, maybe 5'7" and up. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you're abnormal, but I'm just saying that there has been a stunt in the growth process somewhere. And so what if we could trigger the human growth hormone to then send the messages for then the bones to then lengthen, as well as change the facial structure in Down syndrome, as well as, yeah, elongate the all four limbs and also the torso. Well, the torso actually in a dwarf torso is pretty much normal. Okay, but it's the extremities, the head and the torso is what is normal, but the extremities is where the interruption is. Okay, and so I would love for somebody to go through that biochemical triage, bringing in the J juice to then contribute to that bone regrowth, and then essentially get through the muscle, the ligaments, and the tissues, and all that stuff. But right now we are dealing with a society that is okay with aging and disintegrating back into the earth, and so that's why you're not seeing people regrow their bones or have an obvious regrowing of their organs, even if they're born without them, because we are so used to just being at a deficit. It's so accepted to be at a deficit. And then we have characterized what health is like someone like Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger is not healthy. All of the fitness kings and queens are not healthy out there. They are not. They are part of the aging and the disintegration process. Jilly Michaels is not healthy. She is steadily aging. She has malabsorption going on. Look at Suzanne Somers today. Jack LaLanne is dead. You've got to understand that when you are having major mineral depletion, okay, you're going to see a weakening of the bones. And so women seem to have more osteoporosis because they're already, and seem that women are weaker. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like, why men and women exist and why women are weaker, okay, I mean, relatively than the men, and men have a lot more mineral reserves. Men are, that's why I guess men have been like the breadwinners in the household, because they're stronger, okay, bone-wise, and they don't deal with too many of the hormonal fluctuations for the most part. At least back in the 50s, when the women were at home dealing with the kids and cooking and cleaning and homebound, and then the men went off to work, they had the mineral and the cash reserves in their body, and the minerals and the ability to make money and produce, because they have the strength. Minerals, strength in your bones is your ability to produce. That is your cash. That's your currency. Is your ability to reserve the minerals, to utilize them and then regenerate them, or have them on reserve and regenerate cells. But what happens is that women were never, expected to strengthen, and then having babies on top of that puts stress on the body, which weakens them more. And then they have children who are then also weakened, and they also have a kid that's a male who may be stronger, but nowadays, the males are not really as strong anymore. It's interesting how that works. And so, yeah, reproducing actually weakens the female, because you've seen how, you've seen females out there. And if you're already really, really weak, then you won't even be able to reproduce. Some people can't even reproduce at all, and they're female because they're that weak. But our society is such to where you don't have to be toiling in the field, burning minerals and depleting minerals and all of that. You can sit behind desk and get in your car and drive and then go get a shot of this and a prescription of that and a little nip and tuck here, nip and tuck there, and you can live for at least maybe up to 100 years, if that. Because you're utilizing your brain. Doesn't mean your body has to be up to par. As long as your brain and you have relative motion and you can get to the bathroom and feed yourself, that's really all that's expected in our society if you have enough brain power. But no, I mean, now we're seeing, people's brain power go as well as our body. And those who are lucky enough to have brain power, but really a weak body, okay, that's great. No one's expecting you to go and toil in the field. We have so many different diverse jobs, but somebody who's weak in the body and strong in the brain is not going to go and throw steel. So even some regions out there will capitalize on the strong bodies, but the weak brains, I guess. And then some areas in the country will have weak bodies, but strong brains. And then maybe you call them the nerds. I don't know. So let's have a more well-rounded society where you're strong in the body and strong in the brain. And you're not degrading. Okay? And so how do you, densify your bones? How do you increase the density in your bones? You have to heal and seal. You have to heal and seal first. Okay? And then when you heal and seal, then you absorb the minerals. You fix the weaknesses, then you're able to have them on reserve, and then you start seeing strength and you start seeing mental clarity, and then you don't have to work out and build your stamina. Because I'll tell you what, if I ever have to run, I have the stamina to do it. I'm not weighed down by extra weight. I don't have any weaknesses in my ankles or in my legs or in my knees. I can just, if I want to, like, let's say if I go hiking tomorrow, actually I've done it where I was walking up and down, like my friend, just even like at a barbecue, they have a hill in their backyard because they have a lot of property, and I'm going up and down that hill. I was out of breath for a minute, but then my body, and I was a little bit sore for a minute, but then it disappeared. My body was able to adapt and then repair the damage because I have the mineral reserves to repair any damage from that arduous activity. So if I have to do something different, like go to a barbecue and walk up down a hill, or let's say somebody invites me to go hiking somewhere and then I go hiking, well, yeah, there'll be a period of where the body's going to adapt to that new environment, to that new condition, and then it will then repair the damage, because even walking a lot and going up and down stairs does damage to the body. But if you have a weak reserve of your minerals, the ability to repair is going to take longer, and then it may strip other minerals from different parts of the body to handle that weakness. So that's why people have pain for a certain amount of time when they go run. When I was a kid, when I was 18, I went running from Santa Cruz in California to Pescadero, and that was like, I don't know, it was a marathon type of thing, and I was passing the baton, the medicine baton, but I was in so much pain the next day, I could barely walk. Well, how I got over it, why pain eventually stops, is because when the body goes through biochemical triage, it's stealing minerals from other parts of the body to repair the damage. Okay? Whenever you do something that aggressive and excessive and that stressful on the body, like working out or walking long distances or running, the body has to repair that damage. It has to go into biochemical triage. So imagine if you're doing the workout every single day and running every single day, no wonder people age very quickly, because they're depleting their minerals. They don't realize it, and then they go do facials and they go do skin creams, and then people are like, oh yeah, you're so healthy. No, you just cheated because you just took some skin cream. But eventually you will see it in a person's face, the aging process. Okay, you can only fool somebody for so long playing the fitness game and claiming that you're healthy. Okay, so yes, I can go walk up and down. I can, and I believe me, I'm not going to go walk like with my parents a couple of years ago when I visited them. We did walk from the house like 1.5 miles all the way to the ocean and back. And that's my mom's routine. And she shouldn't be doing that, but she does. She's like 70 something years old and she does that. And I'm telling you, at some point, you're going to be depleting your mineral reserves. If you already have weaknesses in your bones, and then you are applying the stress and the pressure of doing long walks and yoga and all these, you know, running around and, you know, getting on the ellipticals or the walking machines. You're walking your life off. You're basically putting miles on your body and that you can't get back unless you understand how to refill your mineral reserves. Then you have to go through the pain, and they're not willing to do that. So they just keep putting miles on their body, like running to their death. And that's the people who don't do J juice but are in the workout world are running to their death, and they're depleting their bones as well as weakening their other systems that already sustained weaknesses. Okay? So regrowing bones is possible, but you have to understand the biochemical triage, and you have to go through the pain in the other areas of your body that have weaknesses probably first. So I hope one day that I can get somebody who is a dwarf, Down syndrome, which I don't think Down syndrome, because they have to really conceptually understand this, and that may not happen because there's cognitive disabilities. But someone that's a dwarf, or someone that's missing an arm or a digit or on their finger, I want to see them go through, because it's not just regrowing this, it's also taking care of all this. When someone comes into the protocol with an abscess on their tooth and they think the J juice is going to heal just that abscess but not everything else, and they're pissed off they got to deal with everything else, hey, that's the whole point of J juice. It's not just dealing with the abscess in the tooth or just the digit or just your cancer, disease, and chronic illness. It's everything that the body is dealing with that will set the priority. And that is what needs to be understood, because we have tried to regulate our body's processes, and obviously it doesn't work. We're causing more harm than good. The body is self-regulating if you give it what it needs. But you try to manipulate your muscles and you manipulate all your different, you know, hormones and all that stuff. Yeah, you're causing more confusion, causing more death and chaos. If you think just drinking bone broth in the holistic world is going to remineralize your bones and you have malabsorption, it's fallen on deaf ears, literally and figuratively. Well, not literally, but figuratively. That's why I was kind of laughing. People are like drinking, and that's not laughing, but I'm like writing this out about regrowing bones. I'm like, oh my God, that's why people are drinking bone broth, because they think that getting all that collagen, all that minerals and all that stuff is like so great. Yeah, maybe temporarily for a minute, assuming that you can absorb enough, but it depends on how severe your malabsorption is. And if you're drinking bone broth, you have major malabsorption going on, or you wouldn't be drinking bone broth. Okay? So yeah, so taking doing the diet changes and taking all those supplements and bone broth and working out, I'm telling you, it's going to work against you. And yes, you may have a period of time where you look great, where you exemplify what someone would think is healthy, but give it 10 years, 5 years for some of you. And I'm telling you, when you do the J juice, you're not going to be able to work out the way you have been. You're going to have to chill out on that, or it's going to work against you, or you're going to feel so weak and so tired, you're going to get off the J juice and then continue your working out. J juice is going to keep you honest. It'll take you out of the game for a minute if you're into those types of torturous types of practices. This lady on Facebook, they did an article about her. She's like 75 years old, has osteoporosis, and she did the 100-mile run or 100-mile walk or 100-mile run. And what that is where you don't run 100 miles altogether. It's a cumulative where you put like a certain amount of miles per day. And she finally did it. And everyone's cheering. Oh my God, yes, she did the 100-mile run. She's 75 years old and she did a 100-mile run. And I'm like, she's just getting closer to death. She's putting more miles on her body. She should not be the one running. No one should be running. The fact that we are doing these torturous things to our body is beyond me now that I see what it actually does. But we celebrate these things because we think it has to do with discipline. It has to do with drive. And you can be disciplined in other ways. Dealing with the pain and dealing with past, present, and future triggers, dealing with the sins of the father. That's the discipline. Torturing yourself through working out and running and yoga is not no. Oh, Kevin, yeah, that's why I had itchy skin after drinking bone broth before this protocol. I couldn't digest the minerals. Jada is, yeah, bioavailable minerals, so no problem with it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that for us to prolong our life, to strengthen our bones, we have to chill the hell out. Stop torturing your body with exercise, because it does weaken your bones and it weakens your other 11 different systems. Okay? And if you have heart issues in your medical, in your family history, if you have brain issues in your medical history, so it means you already have sustained weaknesses, and you're working out, and you're jogging and doing all this crazy stuff, doing the 100-mile whatever run, you roll the dice that if you get a heart attack or a stroke, you're not going to survive it because you have already depleted your minerals. You roll the dice every single time that you put that much stress on your body. And so, yeah, I mean, so I'm watching right now a few people on my Facebook that are workout queens, that are steadily aging. But they are so invested because that's what you do in California. Okay? And they're maybe a couple of years older than me, but I'm telling you, they are aging rapidly. And it's because we're putting miles on their body. And yeah, when you're 75 years old, you should not be running or doing any exercise. You should be drinking the J juice and remineralizing your body, and then bringing back all of your cells that you have depleted. So anyways, so yeah, so in my book right now, I do talk lightly about bone regrowth and bone spurs. And I do talk about what osteoclasts are, what bone resorption, because the body has weaknesses. And then I do talk about osteoblasts and osteocytes, which is new bone regeneration, and then collagen and amino acids. And collagen is the main protein in the bone. And then the collagen actually binds the minerals together. That's why you have the new bone growth. But we're finding that people have malabsorption, so they don't have enough minerals to then bind, have the collagen bind them together. And that's why you have osteoporosis, which is an industry term. We're not going to use that industry term, but we're going to see weakening in the bones. Okay? And elderly women have bone weaknesses because they have not been remineralizing their bones. So yes, stay on the J juice. And this is for Corinne Eichner before she writes out everything that's going on. Do the J juice, remineralize your bones. You got to go through the pain process. And pain is healing. So if you don't have, especially at your stage, if you don't have pain and you're doing the J juice, then you need to up the J juice. Okay? Pain is healing. In the context of J juice, if you're not experiencing pain, then you need to up your levels. If you have plateaued on J juice, it means you need to up your levels. Every single pain is a body regenerating the cells and healing the weaknesses. And if you are so adverse to pain and afraid of pain, then the J juice is not for you. Stay back in the system and disintegrate with everybody else. But if you want to regenerate your bones, regenerate your integumentary system, regenerate all of your issues, or strengthen all of your issues. Oh, thanks, Marlene. Then you need to deal with the pain. So if you want to know if you're healing, Corinne, this is for you, Corinne, it's the pain process. That's when you know you're healing. Once things stop, and here's the thing, then also to reverse the aging process. And thanks, Marlene. I'm way too smart, yeah. When you have no more pain and you're still drinking the J juice in that one area. So let's say you have, so remember, pain, there are levels of degradation and there are levels of healing. So if you are healing and you then conquered your integumentary system, okay, if you've conquered your integumentary system and then you have another pain somewhere else, then you've conquered your integumentary system, so to speak. Okay, so of course, Corinne, And then once that's done with it, and then you have another pain somewhere else, then the body is then doing the biochemical triage. It's dealing with all of your symptoms at different levels in stages. You heal in stages, you degrade in stages. So what happens to you when you degrade? It's in stages. You don't just die off the bat. If that were the case, we have extinction. You have the insurance policy to heal in stages and degrade in stages. And then you have then every opportunity to fix those weaknesses during those times. And some people can't handle the healing. They could barely handle their degrading, so they're having an issue healing with the, dealing with the healing and the real healing. And so, yeah, then they come at an impasse and they just rather degrade because it's easier. They can just take anesthetizing drugs and do drugs and justify that and then go out with a bang. Okay, so every single symptom. So forget this, or forget the pain for a minute. Symptoms, Corinne. If you have a symptom, every single symptom means that your body is healing. Keep doing the J juice. Okay? Keep doing the J juice. And then you will then take a log. You don't need to itemize everything to me and say, okay, no, just take a log of everything that's going on. Keep doing the J juice. And then if you feel like if you feel that you've plateaued and there's no more pain, then you up the dosages. Because you still haven't reversed the aging process. Do you look like you look 20? Do you look 30? Would your son say, oh my God, you look like someone I could date? Not saying that that would happen, but the whole specific measurable result is that you look exactly the same age as your son when he was the most healthiest. That's a specific measurable result, is that we don't see any age difference between any of us. We would look like our daughters. You would think that we are sisters. Okay? That's a specific measurable result. So if you haven't gotten to that point where you look like your children, where you look like you could be brothers and sisters with your children, then you have a long way to go. You got to keep going. Okay? That's how you have to look at J juice. It's not just saying, okay, I reversed my cancer and that's it. No, you have other issues aside from that cancer that need to be dealt with. Okay? So the specific measurable results, so you know when you can kind of chill out, is when you look very young, or a way to juxtaposition yourself. If I don't have any kids, so I couldn't use my kids as an example to then look like. But if you have children and they're in their 30s, then you guys should not look like there's an age difference at all. You would look like you could be brother and sister. Because that's the whole point of the human race, is we all look like the same age. And not 75, but we all look like we're 30. That's the whole point of J juice, is where we don't have any aging, degrading. Yeah, we can reproduce, but then let the system reproduce if they feel they need to reproduce. Okay, because yes, that's what the whole Georgia Guidestones is. I'm going to bring it up again. Is that guiding reproduction carefully? Because when people do reproduce on very highly traumatized bodies, they have kids that glitch. Okay, so if they guide reproduction carefully, it means that they're going to make sure this kid has every single opportunity afforded to them so they can be a well-rounded, productive member of society, not stealing cars and murdering people, but they actually are contributing to society, and they're not degrading and they're not aging. Okay, that's how we can guide reproduction carefully. So what I envision in the future is that nobody ages and we all look exactly like the same age, but we're all very diverse, because Corinne, you have a diverse look. Kevin has a diverse look. I have a diverse look. Okay, Marlene has a diverse look. And so we'll all have our own unique differences, but we are not aging. We're not degrading or glitching. And then if the system says, okay, we need more people on this earth to do this, then they go and guide that reproduction carefully to make sure that the child has every opportunity afforded to them. Now, right now, we have a lot of issues going on in our society because we have so many people who are glitching and who are very weak reproducing. And then we have very imbalanced people that are hurting kids as well as adults. And so we can't do anything about that. Law enforcement can try, but there's things that go on under the radar that they can't even control. And so now you have to just let that genetic line run out and hope that it doesn't affect you in any way. And that means that you have to then be very strong and protect your family and protect yourself, because you cannot control what goes on down the street in someone's basement. You can't. And we shouldn't be policing each other. But if you see something, obviously call the police if you see something that's off. But at this point, we have to focus on ourselves and the people around us. And then other people, then the universe will take care of those that are already weak. Because I'm telling you, the pandemics, the viruses, the bacteria that are so strong are going to take care of those that are already weak. Those that commit crimes, those that bully people, those that have major cancer disease and chronic illness, that don't want to deal with their body and they want to just kind of party their way out of the world. There's going to be a major mess from the universe. It's going to decimate those that are weak. It's just going to happen. There's going to be something like that's going to happen. We look at the plague. 15 million people passed away from the plague in Europe. That was the Earth's balancing force. Right now, yeah, we have modern medicine, but we still have very weak bodies. People can't even handle the vaccines. What makes you think they're going to handle some aggressive virus that ends up on our soil? That yes, the CDC is taking notice of, and they're trying to develop all these vaccines to help people transition to the new evolution, the new messages. But then we have the anti-vax movement that doesn't want to get those transitional protocols. And so guess what? We have weak children who are being born by weak parents, and they don't want to get the vaccine. And then the virus is right there at their doorstep. They're not going to survive it. So the universe will keep the balance regardless. So take care of you and yours. Deal with the healing process. Remineralize your bones. Stop exercising, yoga, hot yoga, aerobics, weightlifting, whatever the hell it is. Just chill out on all of that stuff and take the time to heal your body, because you really only have one chance at this lifetime. One chance. And if you think that working out and looking cute and getting all these likes on your Facebook is far more important than prolonging your life, then yes, you will be subject to the conditions of the Earth's evolution. And you can either grow with Earth and have your body, mind, and spirit be totally aligned, or you'll be disintegrated as dust. Your body's going to break down because you had too much pride to just stop all of your ego boosting stuff and actually deal with the pain. Because the ego is probably one of the biggest things that's going to tear people down and cause more weaknesses. And I'm telling you, there's so much ego in the workout world, the yoga world, the holistic world, the chakra energy world, which people can use in conjunction with the J juice, but not as be the sole thing to heal, because obviously those people are still aging and decaying because they have malabsorption. Okay? So anyways, all right, do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. There is a chance to regrow bones, but you have to also deal with all the other weaknesses in your body. And if you don't want to do that, then then you're going to be falling over the cliff with everybody else, I guess. All right, talk to you later. Bye.